one last thing real quick. We'll do a little quick cage match with Dave Ramsey, and I don't think Dave is in this. We haven't seen this one yet. Just to qualify, we're just going to do it. But the title of it is.
We'll see. If I have any sort of a blind ringside commentary here.
Yeah. So the title of it is the guy who's calling in, his wife thinks that Dave Ramsey is a scam. So let's see their justification.
Hey, John, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Hey, how can we help?
Okay, so this is George Camel on the left and Christina Ellis on the right.
I have some questions about the Financial Peace University. I'm really interested in it, and my wife is very skeptical.
Tell us about her skepticism.
Well, there's so many online influencers that she just thinks it's all a scam.
Uh-oh.
What?
Okay, so we got in there. So the wife thinks it's just a scam, like all the other online influencers. So I think she's talking about the Peace University is their church finance program that they do through the churches.
So, yeah, I mean, frequently people in churches run these programs, and it takes people through essentially the Dave Ramsey baby steps protocol. It takes people through all of that with these various lessons, etc.
So they just drag out their
well, essentially what it is, in my opinion, and I'm actually not going to call it a scam because that's not particularly my opinion, but I do think there's sort of a funny, sneaky element to it. It is essentially a group coaching program, but the Ramsey people don't have to actually employ any coach at all.
Mm.
So,
but they get money from it. They get royalties from it.
Yes, yes, they do get income from it.
You have to pay to take the program. They get royalties from the program. Right.
Right, and essentially somebody volunteers to run this group. So the person who runs this group
isn't necessarily getting paid.
Doesn't get paid, and all the people who are in this group are paid. And the person who runs the group also doesn't necessarily have to have any expertise or whatever per se. They're sort of like the group leader.
Right.
But that way, Ramsey basically gets people to run it themselves and just pay them for their system, as opposed to when you decide you want to do some sort of a financial coaching situation, you're supposed to get the expertise and the experience of the person.
Right.
But Ramsey is benefiting financially, but they're not. That's not in the equation. There's not a person.
Right. Well, so it's a little bit of a pyramid from what it looks like, from what you're explaining to me, because Ramsey makes money, right? Their company makes money. The person who's leading it not necessarily is getting anything. The people who are involved are all paying to be there.
Right.
Right. And the idea is that you get this out and they teach them how to do it and they teach more people how to do it. And in the meantime, they're probably also pushing his books and his products and all that shit too. As part of the program. I would imagine that's in the syllabus.
Right. I mean, I imagine so. I haven't taken this program, but they have their own app for budgeting, which the people who take this program swear by. I've never used it, so I don't know if it's good or not good. And hey, use an app for your budget. I'm cool with that. But
there are free apps you can get to use for your budget that are probably just as good or better.
I think it's a relatively low fee or whatever monthly for their app, but there is a fee for that. I believe it's a monthly fee.
Yeah, but even if you're paying $2 a month and you have a million people doing that, that's easy money.
Right. And then there's obviously their books, a whole slew of their books, and those obviously they make money off of too. So, there are quite a few ways in which Ramsey benefits from this whole thing.
Well, that, and he does a ton of advertising for insurance companies and other stuff, so I'm sure that a lot of that gets pressed too. So yeah, it sounds a little bit like the pyramid, where you're trying to get more and more people to pay into it, and the only person collecting is the people on the top. Everybody else is just sort of there.
Well, the only difference is there's really no downline sort of situation. I mean, theoretically, somebody who took that could decide they wanted to run a group or whatever if it, helped them a lot and they felt inspired or whatever. But there's not any benefit to the person who's deciding to run a group, with the exception of they just believe in it and they volunteer and want to help people. It's like a goodness of your heart sort of volunteering to do this thing.
Sure, but I've seen advertising where Dave has said, well, if you want to be a financial coach, we'll teach you how to do it. And I think a lot of it is you do the Peace University for a while, and then you go off on your own, and then you pay royalties to them. And still, so it still seems like a little bit of pyramid. I'm just saying.
I think this financial coaching thing is something different. I think it's like.
But I think you have to teach some of the Peace University stuff before they'll let you be a full coach, and then franchise out his crap, and then you still have to pay them, a fee.
Oh. No, I didn't know any. I don't know that.
Yeah, that was my understanding. So it sounds a little bit like a pyramid. But let's go back. But let's see what their response is. So they're saying the guys.
I think I'm just gonna
go and guess. Yeah.
Prediction. I haven't seen this, so I have no idea. But I'm going to guess. This doesn't make me any real genius here to guess this, but I'm going to guess that they're probably going to, really talk about the millions of people that they've helped, yada yada, with their books and their courses. They'll probably, start talking about how many people have enrolled in it, and they could go as far as talking about their millionaire study or something like that.
But even
getting results.
Even then, though, they have no results to show. At the end of the day, they don't have any data that backs that up. They can just
people don't necessarily know that, though.
Yeah, I know. They can say, yeah, 1 million people bought my book, but it doesn't mean it made their lives better. Right? You can't, 1 million people took our program. It doesn't necessarily mean it worked. I mean, they can't show any of that. But let's see what their response is.
What kind of scam are we running here, John? I'm curious. Well, how does she define scam?
I don't know. I'm really interested in Financial Peace University. I was wondering if I could hear a few more things about it.
Well, I'll tell you this. Most scams out there for online courses all involve you making a lot of money really fast. Get rich quick, right?
Right.
We promise get rich really slow. So it's
oh my God. All right. So all the other scams are get rich quick. We're get rich slow. So we're a different type of scam. That's all he said. We're the same thing. We're just promising you something a little different. We're still going to make you rich. It's just going to take longer, which means you got to put more money in for a longer period of time. And when you get there, it'll be so long in the future, you really can't say anything.
Wait, is that the end of that, or we don't know?
No, we can keep going, but he basically just said, yeah, we are a scam. We're just a different type of scam.
I don't feel like he said that, but
that's what he said. He doesn't mean, that's not what he thinks he said, but that's how
that's not what he said.
But that's what he said. He said, we're doing the same thing.
Let's see what else he says.
We're just promising it's going to take forever.
The opposite of a scam, because it actually involves you doing hard work and us doing very little other than telling you that you can do it and showing you the path. And so this is...
So that's another point. I mean, God, we got to break this down. See, where other scams promise to do the work for you, we promise to do none of the work for you, so we're not a scam. So you're paying us, but we're not doing any work. But we're not a scam. Jesus Christ.
Simply, this online course was something Dave Ramsey has been doing for 30 years now. 10 million people have gone through Financial Peace University. They've changed their family tree by getting out of debt and building wealth, and none of it involved some sneaky investment thing. It was just, hey, you paid to go through a course one time, and then we gave you the tools to go do it.
So, there's a couple points to that. Once again, you're right. See, 10 million people took the course, and all of them lived better lives because they took the course. Was basically what he was saying.
Basically what I predicted.
Which isn't true. It can't be true. Honestly, too, this is where I get when they talk about that and their stupid survey or their study. It's a survey, and they still haven't released the data, so there's no way to check it, to review it. If they release the data, I'd write a paper on it because it's interesting. Because I think it'd be interesting to write a paper on 10,000 millionaires and what they said about themselves. I don't think it would come to the results they think it does, but they never release the data because they don't want it reviewed or checked. On top of that fact, just to give you an idea about how these things work statistically, if I took 1,000 Dave Ramsey people, right, and we did a study on their success rates, right, doing the Dave Ramsey method and all that stuff, and then I took 1,000 people that had never heard of him, that was a similar sample. The question is, do the Dave Ramsey people have more success, and depending on how we define it, than the random sample? My guess is they don't. My guess is they're about the same. They might even be a little bit worse because his advice, if you're lower income, is really detrimental and dangerous because he talks about throwing all your money at debt instead of protecting yourself. So,
all right.
But even let's say it's equal, right? That's how you do the study. This is how you'd actually compare whether or not his program is successful versus isn't. We compare it to a random sample, right? A random sample of his people versus a random sample from the general populace who doesn't know anything about it, right? And if there's no difference, then the bottom line is you're just as well off doing the Dave Ramsey program as not doing the Dave Ramsey program. It's basically flipping a coin. But nobody ever wants to take the Pepsi challenge, which is what we're really talking about here.
Well, there's also a question of what demographics largely are being served by him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to suggest any of them are bad, but if you want to sort of survey the people he has helped,
mm-hmm.
what income level are they starting off at, and what advantages do they or do they not tend to have? Like, are there any patterns of, in terms of largely blank type of people,
right,
do his program, and most of them start off with, at least this sort of salary, or maybe those advantages don't necessarily exist, but that would be a curiosity too,
right,
of whether, like, is this a really good sampling of the overall U.S. population, or is it really zoomed in on a particular
type of
section? Right, a particular type of group, which may have attributes that do or do not apply across the board evenly, if that makes sense.
So my point would be, if you were taking samples either way, right, you'd take a sample of people from his thing, and you would take a similar sample from the populace. So if most of his viewers, right, that you get are people making over 70,000 a year, right, hypothetically, then we'd have to find most of the people making 70,000 over a year on the other side. What I would say is this, though, is his program is not, it's not interesting or great or original, and it's certainly not the best way to go in most situations. But what it is if I'm making 100,000 a year, it's not really going to harm me to do Dave Ramsey's program. But if I'm making 40 or 50, it could be really dangerous and harmful to me. That's sort of my whole argument. But back to this whole, is it a scam thing? Now, in the sense of, I mean, are they intentionally ripping people off? I don't know about that. Are they ripping people off? Kind of. Yeah, I think they are. I just don't think, I don't know how much I attribute that to intent. But the bottom line is
yeah. I would say no on the scam front. I don't think it's a scam. Now, is that where she should put her time, energy, and money? Don't know.
Well, don't know. I would argue this. It is a scam if they're just as good as not doing their program. If people are just equally successful not doing it as doing it, then it is a scam because now you're paying for something that you shouldn't be paying for. Because
I don't know if that makes it a scam as much as it just could make it not a good product, because I feel like with something that's a scam, there is sort of an intent there. And I really think that all the folks at Ramsey actually think that,
like I said,
what they're teaching is good. Like, I think their intent is they feel like it's good and valuable.
I agree with you on that. I don't think that they have negative intent necessarily. No. But I also think that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, which is an old Confucian saying, right? It's Chinese. And the bottom line is you can have good intent and lead people to bad conclusions. Right? This is my point.
The nature of a scams usually have a negative intent to it. Usually, you're ripping people off, and you think you're ripping people off, and you're just choosing still to rip people off.
Sure.
Isn't that the scam?
Sure, I guess in a more of a legal sense. I'm using it more in just a generic sense. It's still a scam, even if the person scamming you doesn't realize that it's a scam, because maybe they've been scammed. Right? I'm talking about a scam not in the sense of like something consciously thought up, but the fact that it affects everybody around it. Right? Because you can still buy into a scam and be perpetuating the scam and selling the scam and making money on the scam, and you don't even think it's a scam.
I see your point.
That would be,
right.
I mean, Dave might recognize that it is kind of a scam, but nobody else beneath him does. Right? That's my attitude about it. Is like I said, I don't know that these guys necessarily have ill intent. But at the same time, I do think they have very negative opinions about other people that cause them to do a lot of negative things. Maybe some of it's just baked into the cake. It's kind of like racism. I don't think people are intentionally racist for the most part. Some are, some aren't. But for the most part, I don't think so. But doesn't make them not racist. Same kind of thing here. That would be my argument, at least.
I want to hear more, and this may just be my own curiosity, but I want to hear more about the scams that she's running into. So is it, I mean, obviously there might be
she hasn't ran into any scams. She just thinks I'm crazy for listening to things I hear online,
Well, most of the stuff we put out there is free. And so I don't know many scammers that are like, here's all our cards on the table, and if you want to go through this course, you can do that. So, I mean, I'm happy to gift it to you.
Here's the other thing is, scammers do that all the time. Right? Because it would be different if I gave you something tangible for free. This is intangible. It doesn't cost them anything to give it to you. Right? So I don't see where he's justified. I mean, the more he talks about it, the more it sounds like he's talking about a scam or a pyramid scheme. See, I'll even give it to you for free, and then you'll give it to your fucking 10 friends, and they'll give it to their 10 friends, and right? I mean, I don't see where he's getting. He just makes it sound worse, in my opinion.
Well, here's my thinking. I do not think it's a scam. By my sort of definition of scam. I also don't think he's doing a good job of explaining it not being a scam either. Like, there's not anything he's saying that's doing a good job of conveying why it isn't.
Why do you think it's not a scam? How about that? Let's put it that way. Maybe how would you phrase it?
I don't think it's a scam because I think it's just like paying for any other course. You're paying to take some sort of course.
Sure.
Right? If you want to learn the things that are in that course,
mm-hmm.
you pay to take it.
Okay. So
it's whether or not it proves to be useful to you or applicable to your life later is neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned. And I do think intent counts because I think that what they're selling is good. And I think it's also kind of up to the consumer to evaluate whether they think that that's useful to them or not.
Sure.
Where this husband and wife is having a problem is he thinks it'll be valuable and she doesn't. So I don't know if that makes it a scam. I just think it maybe makes it something that's not a good idea for them because she doesn't feel too good about what she would be learning there. She doesn't see that there's any value in what they have to teach. But I don't know that I think that qualifies as a scam.
So here would be my argument, just to define it a little bit closer. So if I'm selling a course on whatever, let's say financial course, just to make it easy, and I say, okay, this is my financial course, it's going to teach you these things, blah, 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 take it or leave it. I think that's fine. Whether my financial course is good or bad, totally fine.
Right. This is the stuff that they teach.
Right.
The intent is for you to take it and to be able to use it for these purposes.
Where I think you start to get into sketchy territory, scam territory, as it were, maybe not legally, but definitely near it, is when I say, here's my course, it's going to teach you these things, and if you follow these things, you'll be rich. I'm going to make you rich by taking this course. Now I think I'm in scam territory because I'm promising something I can't promise. That's where I think he steps over the line, and I think the Ramsey crew steps over the line. It's one thing to say we're offering our financial course, and it has helped people, or we think it's good, or blah, blah, blah. It's another thing to say we're going to get you rich. We're going to get you back on track. We're going to change your family tree. We're going to do all these things, blah, 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 blah. It's promise, promise, promise that they can't make, that their course is somehow going to do this. And then, of course, you get into the course, and it's buy my books, and buy my apps, and buy my other shit. Tell your friends, right? I don't have a problem with any of that. It's we're promising something we can't promise. That's where I think we get into scam territory. I'm not saying that legally it's a scam, but it's the same thing as Dr. Oz. You can't get
you're saying that the selling of the course in and of itself is not particularly a scam. You feel like they cross the line over into scam territory with the way they, on their show and in their materials, are always boasting that this means you are going to end up with XYZ results.
This is the same. This is the same thing that happened to Dr. Oz, where he got in trouble with Congress. And it's not technically illegal what he did because he didn't profit from it. But he'd go on his show and he'd say, okay, buy this supplement, right? The supplement's supposed to help you lose weight and do all this stuff. He could say that but once he starts saying, this supplement is proven and it will reduce you and you'll lose 40 pounds in 2 months if you buy this supplement. Now we're in scam territory. It's more about how you market it and less about what you're selling. I mean, I could sell pet rocks. I don't have a problem with that. But if I tell you the pet rock is going to, make you a rock star, now I'm, if somebody buys it because of that, now I'm kind of tricked them, haven't I?
I would be curious about this caller, what her reasons are for feeling like it's a scam. And she may not be able to articulate it so clearly, but I wonder if it is, as you are suggesting, that it sounds like snake oil to her if all I have to do is blank and I'm going to be rich. Like I wonder if she feels like because you're guaranteeing me this result, it's like a snake oil sort of situation.
Right.
As opposed to simply offering a financial course. Here are the skills that we teach in this financial course.
Right.
And that just being it.
Right. And I think
I wonder if it's a result-oriented thing.
I don't know what the guy's wife thinks, and he's not going to be able to articulate it super well. And even if he does, it's hearsay. But I would think there's a difference, once again, like we make this point all the time. There's a difference between what you offer financially, what I offer financially. You offer financial course as a coach. You're not promising to make these people rich or successful or anything. You're just promising to help them manage their finances, right? I'm a financial planner. When a client comes to see me, I'm going to help you try to achieve your goals. in the most efficient way possible financially. I'm not promising I'm going to get there or get what you want. I'm not promising I'm going to make you rich. I'm just telling you this is what we're going to do to try and get you where you want to go. There's a difference there. One is, this is what I am on the contract, on the agreement, whether verbal or written, right? The agreement is, I am going to do my best to help you. And this is the work I'm going to put in to help you. As opposed to him saying, we don't really do any of the work. You do the work. We're promising to make you rich, which we can't guarantee if you do the work, right? And you pay us money for that. And in return, if they fail, their argument's going to be, well, you didn't become rich because you didn't really do the work. That sounds like a scam to me, because at the end of the day, even if it fails and you go back to them and say, hey, it didn't work, what you promised me is bullshit, they're going to sit there and go, well, you didn't really do the work, so it's on you, because we weren't doing any work. We were just telling you what to do. That sounds like a fucking scam, because that's really what he's talking about. And that's why I said, when he opens with that, well, these guys promised to make you rich quick. We promised to make you rich slowly. See, completely different. No, it's the same thing. You're promising the same thing, just at different time intervals. And the beauty thing about saying we're going to make you rich slowly is, if you're not rich in 2 months, they can say, well, it's going to take 30 years. As opposed to the get rich quick guy, hey, it's 6 months and I'm not rich, man. That guy's now got to bail. Because his lie didn't come true. Their lie can last 30 years before you say anything. So, yeah, that's why I think it is a bit of a scam. I don't know that they think it is intentionally, but I do think it is a scam, and that's why. Because they're promising something they can't promise. And essentially that's where they trip over their own dicks, and there's no other real excuse. So...